Why do we drum? Where does the rhythm come from? Ah, the eternal question. Where does the rhythm come from? You know, it's all around us, all the time. We were born with the rhythm. To start with, they know that you're alive, that you're a live baby when they hear boom, 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 boom. Well, that's in rhythm. When you take your first steps, that's in rhythm. When you have a conversation, you talk in rhythm. Why do we drum? Where does the rhythm come from? Those two questions are linked together. Because if the rhythm wasn't already here, then we probably wouldn't be drumming. But the fact is that the people that drum have noticed rhythm. Isn't that interesting? And they've noticed it before they even knew what it was. Before my father passed away in 1993, we had a conversation. Because by that time I was a professional drummer, and he told me that when I was a little baby, that I would crawl on the floor and I would have access to the sink. So there are pots and pans under the sink, and I would beat on those pots and pans. When I was a little baby, mind you. So after he passed away some years, I was having a conversation with my aunt. And she said to me, when you were small, you would crawl on the floor and you would beat on things, beat on the pans. Because we were in their house too. So no one told me to do these things. No one said, hey, that's drumming. You know? So where did the rhythm come from? For me, it was just there, or I recognized it. Now, some people come all the time. I've had people start their first drum lesson and say, I have no rhythm. At which I'm almost certain to say, boo, boo. No, I usually don't say that. But I point out that they can walk in time. I point out that their heart's beating in time. I point out that their conversation is in time. And sometimes, you know, their movement. And inevitably, some of these people dance. You can't dance without rhythm. So where does it come from? It is inside, but it's outside. It's all around you, everywhere. Cars run mechanically, they have to be synced, you know. There used to be, you would have a certain belt in a car that had to be changed. Well, all these belts run in time. The pistons, they have to run in very tight time. So that's just a car. You can find rhythm in your everyday life if you look. And you can also just, everybody clap your hands, right? All of a sudden, you're in rhythm. You can get most anybody to clap their hands. Why do we drum? Because not everybody drums. Not everybody's a drummer. In fact, that number goes much smaller. But there's a lot of people that want to drum. They just Never thought they could. Or I love these females that come and say, my mother made me play clarinet in high school and I wanted to play the drums. So now I'm on my own and I can study drums and I want to study the drums. That's happened a pretty good handful of times since I've been teaching. Because back then, girls didn't drum. But women not only drum, they do anything they want to do, especially if it has to do with rhythm. From Cindy Blackburn to you name it, there are great women drummers on the scene today. They're still not a majority, and I don't know if they ever will be a majority, but that doesn't really matter. So, why do we drum? Because we can't not drum. We can't not do it. We have to do it. We have to sit there. When you're in grade school, you get a pencil or a pen. This is a pen. But I remember 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, they were always a pencil. So what did I do in class, especially when I was bored? Jimmy, stop that beating. Stop that tapping. Oh yeah, that happened. And it happened at home too. Although, to my mother and father's credit, they allowed a lot of it. When we would travel, I would be in the back seat, tapping on the back of the car seat, which was the seat that they were sitting in. So eventually they'd tell me to stop. But they knew that that was what I was drawn to. I don't know. Maybe I have some affliction where I just got to move. I don't know. Maybe I got AD rhythm. Attention deficit rhythm. gotta have rhythm, you know. Why do we drum? Because we can't not drum. Because when we drum, something shifts in our brains and minds. Something goes away, like linear conscious thought, and it's replaced with something else that has a feeling to it, that's good, that feels good. Recently, I was in a conversation, and a woman pointed out to me, she said, think of it as your output is what you do, your drumming. You know, that's your output. But think about your input, right? And that is what causes the drumming. Where does it come from? Now, as an audio engineer, among other things that I do, input, output, I get that concept. And what happens in between is often where a lot of excitement happens. But in this case, she was asking about the input. So this is simply the source of the drumming. Where does that come from? I don't know, except to say it's there, and I have to move. And after doing it for years and years and years and years, well, these things come pretty natural to me. So I was very interested in thinking about this as an audio input-output. We have to drum. If you're a drummer, you just have to do it. And the cool thing about drumming is how it affects not only yourself, because, you know, you can drum in your closet all you want to, and that's great. But what happens when you drum in front of people? And you look out and you see people moving to the rhythm you are making. My teacher, djembe teacher, Khalid Salim, once said, can you imagine dancers? How is it they can do these incredible movements and dance? It's got to happen with the music. It's got to happen with the rhythm. The dancers Even though you can do a dance without music, it has to happen with the rhythm for the most part. It's going to go to a different level because the dancers also are going to let go of their conscious mind, and then they're, these great dancers that I know, like Sharon or Jimmy Green, man, I would watch them move, and I'm like, how in heaven's name can these folks move like that? Ava, Tony, there's just so many dancers that I used to know. Still know. And I was always amazed at what they could do. But Khalid pointed out to me it's the rhythm that's making them move, that's helping them move. When I was in the Gambia, I remember riding on a bus or a car, and we were riding by a long field, and we looked out in that field, and there was people working in the field. But with them was 3 or 4 drummers, and they were playing drums while the work was happening. And you know what the result of that was, is the work ended up being faster, more efficient. It's just like the beginning, the first piece on "Oh Brother, How Art Thou," which is done basically, I think, in Angola prison or somewhere like that, and on a chain gang. And what is that? Same as the African in the field. It's a call. Response by everybody. You know what? They get so much more done with less effort by everybody in sync in time. I think society is like that. That when we sync and get in rhythm with the other people in our group, in our community, in our nation, and we come together and everybody is in the right rhythm, we get more done, we're better people, and we finish a day maybe tired, but completely satisfied. Peace. Find your rhythm.